Hey, my name is Ana Martinez, and today we are here with special guest Carla Cienfuegos. Hi, Carla, welcome.
Hello, hello from South Korea.
Yes, Carla, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself by saying your name, the grades you teach, how many years you've been in education, and where you're currently teaching right now.
Thanks, Anna. Hello, everybody. My name is Carla Cienfuegos, and I'm originally from LA. I taught in LA schools for about 12 years. Then I moved up to the Bay Area, taught for 2 years, and this is my now second year teaching at an international school in South Korea. And the grades that I have taught are kindergarten for a long time, first grade for a long time, second grade for a long time. So I really have a heart for the early years, and I can't believe that.
So I'm wondering, is there anything helpful that parents did to set their students up for success in your classroom as a first grader? I can just imagine the number of feelings they might be having.
Mm-hmm. Definitely wearing masks all the time has helped students keep the mask on in the classroom. And in Asia, and especially in Korea, like if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling a little bit like sneezy or coughy or sore throat, you automatically wear a mask and you go about your day. You go to work, you go to school like that. So I think that culture of, I am going to do my best to take care of myself and others. That mindset was really helpful. And so families have, when I've walked by playgrounds or when I have, like been at the mall, I see kids ages 2 and up wearing that mask. It's huge. And what parents have done too, and now it's the trend here, is to get like really cool mask straps, because the kid is going to have to take them off to eat or to like, I don't know, say something like really important. So when you have the little mask strap and you put it down, the mask doesn't go anywhere. And so we did that as an early years team. We bought a couple of mask straps per student, and we've kept them in class, and it's part of our daily routine. Like, all right, everybody in the morning, put on your mask strap, and we help them. They wear it all day. Then at the end of the day, it's part of our closing routine. And some parents just have bought their own, but I think that's really helpful in parents modeling that it's okay to wear a mask, to wash your hands all the time, and to get your temperature checked.
I'm wondering about first grade. Like first graders usually, at least here in the United States, that parents come in with kinder and first graders because they're still like the babies of the family for most families. And parents couldn't walk into your class. So how was that experience for your first graders and for your parents? And how did you go about just like setting the stage for that?
Great question, because that was even though it's my 16th year teaching, having a child cry at the beginning of the day and just be very upset of that separation the first couple of days of school is something that I really wanted to prepare for. So something that we did in our early years team, so for pre-K, especially for pre-K, but for pre-K, K, and first, is we asked families to send us a picture of their family, of the mom and the dad, or the grandma and the grandpa, whoever the caregivers are, right? And we had those pictures printed out on little cards. And when a student got upset, parent wasn't there. Students were brought to our classroom through, different staff members. We had a little, that little picture, and we said, hey, I have something to show you. Like, I see that your face is like this and your tears are coming down. I want to show you something. And then they saw that picture of their family. And that some students just stopped crying. They're like, oh, And then that's how we brought them into the classroom, right? For some students, they had to hold it. They had to hold it and cry. And we told them, it's okay. You can put it against your face. You can put it against your heart. Your family loves you and they want you to, feel okay that you're here and you can hold them. And so some students just held that little picture all day. So at the end of the first day, we realized, we need to have more pictures laminated. Huge. Which is something I had never done before, of having that prepped for the first day of school. I usually do that like within the first 2 weeks, have parents send in a picture. And also families want to know what the classroom looks like. They want to know more information. So I was just taking pictures all day of what students were doing, how students were showing that they were sitting in safety protocols. And at the end of each day for Thursday, Friday, I sent those out. And I think that really helped parents feel like, okay, my kid's doing okay.
So what people don't realize, or they do realize, for kindergarten and first, it's such a delicate age. And there's huge separation anxiety that happens in pre-K and kinder and in first, even if your child goes to pre-K or a preschool, right? What happens is it's just scary, like a new classroom with new people and this new teacher. And some kids, it hits them more than others, depending on various factors. And I'm glad that South Korea is keeping you all safe and your mindset around just like, let's just do this. Let's just grow through this. But I also appreciate that you're being such a kind, inviting teacher to your kids. I think that's really important to make them feel loved. Those pre-K, kinder, and first grade teachers are beautiful beings, let me tell you. I know that they are very calm and patient beings. So I really appreciate that.
The message to the other kids that I am the safekeeper and I can keep the whole class safe. And that's really important to set up as a foundation at the beginning of the school year. For example, I was teaching them a breath, and I had to have them put their mask down so they can really get oxygen into their brain. And then we put our mask on. Just saying it out loud so they know that, if, you make the mistake, you touch your friend, you shared something, that's okay. Now it's time to sanitize. And so making that normal for our school day is okay. Neutral, and just make it very factual, like, okay, go wash your hands, go sanitize. Like, having that as part of our teacher repertoire is so important, because kids are going to touch things, inside of their mask, and they're going to sneeze on their hand and all that stuff. So we have a lot of hand sanitizers around the classroom, and we just make it okay, go hand sanitize.
I really appreciate you saying that, because I think we can create more anxiety to our students. We can make them more nervous. You're going to go to school, make sure you wear your mask, make sure if you do touch someone on accident or they touch you, it's okay, just sanitize. There's some mental preparation that can go in it. So with that, SEL, so how are you embedding SEL into your program in the first few days of school?
In the international world are very Western. So they look a lot like schools in the US. Korean public schools have a different timeline of their school year, and I have no idea what happens there. So in international schools, we definitely have SEL. It's so important for us to make sure our students feel regulated and safe before they start learning. And so a lot of the routines that I had at the beginning of the day, which was to greet each student and have a caring connection, like a hug, a high five, or a handshake, all of that has now turned into, do you want some sparkles? Do you want a thumbs up? Do you want a little dance? It's all become non-touch things. The second thing that we've really made sure that we've incorporated into our day is this taking time to do breaths. And there are a couple of breaths that I teach them. I teach them like 3 or 4 breaths. And then students get the hang of it, and then they make up their own breath. So for example, last year we had some students that really liked superheroes. And so they're like, Miss Carla, can I make up a breath? I'm like, sure, show the class. And they're like, like, like superhero style, or different ways to calm their bodies. So we've done social distancing, caring connections, breaths, but then also in our flow of the day, it's a little bit more slow because we have had to make changes for COVID in terms of like even our recess and lunch. Our lunch is actually in class. So students are spending more time in class. And I really want to, as a teacher, create different pockets of time so they don't feel that like, oh, I've been stuck in this class all day. And so I'll do different things like turn down the lights and turn like a little candle. And of course you can't have an open flame in school. So I have something like this, which is like it's a heat thing for a candle. So it's like just using a lamp, creating stuff like that. I know teachers have some like essential oils diffusers. And the last thing that like I'm still trying to work through as a teacher is my peace corner. I have a corner where, students usually can go, and if they're having a big emotion, if they need a little bit of a break, they go to that corner and they relax, or they journal, or they, see the pictures of their families on the wall. I'm thinking through that, and I'm thinking that I'm just going to create a corner for each kid, like a little nook for each student, because we can't have a corner that we all share, right?
Right.
And because all of my like centers and all of my classroom things are closed, I'm thinking, okay, I can create little spaces that they can go to so they're not always stuck at their desk, because, they're always there. And so like, I'm thinking, okay, that's what I'm going to start doing this next week so that they can have like a little bit of like private time. They can go there to read a book or even to like calm down an emotion.
I appreciate that. So what I'm hearing is, one, I am doing SEL. We need to do social emotional learning. We need to make sure that we are helping students understand their feelings during this time. And so you're doing it through non-contact celebrations, right? Like, woohoo! Because kids need that immediate, just like gratification that people love them, and you're building community in the first few weeks of school. And then breath work, just like learning how to calm yourself down or get to your peaceful place in your heart through breath work. I really appreciate that. And what a peaceful corner is, for those families that don't know what that is, a lot of schools now are doing peaceful corners, or it's not a timeout corner. It's more like a corner that you need to go to when you just need to relax, when you just need to chill. So for instance, for me in my home, it might be like my garden, or it might be my special couch where I get to just cuddle up with my like blanket. So we have that association with anybody. Some people, it might be like, I just need to run, whatever it is, but we start helping children like understand that. And I appreciate that. So also for parents listening that are on virtual, you can create a peaceful corner at home too. So like, this is just for your child, and it's a place where they get to calm themselves down, or when they're feeling stressed or sad or, any type of emotion, they can go there because it's their space and they recenter. And usually we decorate it with like pictures of things we love, with like fun sayings and things that we just like, nice colors and things like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did forget to mention that before COVID, I would have a check-in that students could point to or move their little name clip over to show what kind of emotion they had. But now I just have something like this on their table. This is like very like rough sketch. It's actually really cute. It's laminated. It's on their desk. And we do a quick feelings check-in throughout the day. And I tell them, you know, it's okay to feel that you don't want to be here. It's okay. Like, it's very, in my class, I really try to normalize other feelings, because this is a hard time. I tell them, Miss Carla even has a hard time. Miss Carla misses her family. You know, they're very far away. So I'm feeling a little sad right now. And so, like, I think just making it okay to point to a feeling, to talk about a feeling, or just check in is really helpful to students, because one, they feel, wow, my teacher cares about me, and two, they feel seen. And third, they see who has the same feeling, and, you know, kids love to make connections with, like,
right.
Oh, I feel happy too, you know, and and that's how you create that community. I do want to speak about what I did when we did virtual learning, and something that was helpful was that I had all these little things in place already for the school year. And then when we went virtual, I just sent it to parents and families, and they printed it out. So students had a sense of normalcy at home. So anything that a teacher can have that's from the classroom, and make it like smaller print, like smaller for a student to have at home, something portable. Students found a little sense of normalcy like that, like a little schedule of the day, because they were used to seeing it in class. And I'm thinking, for anyone that is starting virtual from the beginning of the school year, you might want to consider just sending maybe like the things that are important in your class, sending it as a PDF so parents can print out, or maybe your school provides like a service of printing it out, like, and then parents come to pick up certain like welcome packets. That way, what you have behind you, like, this was my classroom when I was doing virtual learning. I had, you know, different things up here, and I was always in this spot. And students knew that, like, there's my kitchen, and like, I'm at my dinner table. And there were some things that we could all connect with. Now I know that sometimes kids have different caregivers, you know, like sometimes they're going to grandma's house, sometimes they're going to Tia's house, auntie's house. Sometimes they're staying at home, but with like someone else supervising them. And you can just make sure that you say, it's okay if you, as a teacher, if you just normalize, like, oh, it's okay, you left your things at your grandma's house. All right, I can send you something. You can look at this worksheet so you can have it at your dad's house or whatever. I think it's so important for teachers to maybe fake it until we make it, you know, and say, you know what, oops, that's okay. Like, just having a lot of grace with yourself as a teacher, but also with students and families, because, you know, it's a tough time for everybody.
Yeah, I hear that. I love the idea of flexibility and grace. Back to the SEL part, I really like the idea of normalizing feelings. And I think that's a big push that people don't realize we're doing in schools. Like I think growing up, it was like, just be tough, suck it up, do this, do that, and more for our boys, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's like, it's okay to feel sad. To prepare is saying, like, ask your child, like, how are you feeling about going back to school? And they might not say, especially in kinder, first, and pre-K, they might, unless you've already started developing their vocabulary when it comes to emotions, that is also something we develop as educators. Like, they might not say, I feel frustrated, I feel very anxious, I feel sad. They might say, my stomach hurts when I think about it. My head hurts, or I don't get hungry when I think about it. Like, they might attribute it to something else they're feeling that they're familiar with, right, Carla? Like, yes. And give them the word like that. means you're feeling a little anxious. That's what we call anxious. And this is what anxious looks like. So you're giving them a vocabulary word.
Yeah. So when you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of something that I teach, even when I've done kindergarten at the beginning of the year, is just to show the word emotion. And I tell them, this is the word emotion, which means feelings, all the feelings that you have. But if you cover up the E, what does that say? And some kids say, some kids can read it and some kids are like, meh. And so you say it's motion. And so you tell them, it's okay to feel an emotion, but then the next step is to do something about it, like to have emotion. And it's usually moving your body. So I tell them, we're going to have a lot of little brain breaks throughout the day. One, to get your brain ready for learning, but two, you might be feeling an emotion. So we're going to do a motion to get you through it. Like, I don't make them like stop that motion, like feeling, right? I tell them, okay, it looks like we're all feeling a little sad. Me too. I miss my family. They're in the States. So I tell them, all right, so we're going to stand up and we're going to like run in place and we're going to go, ah! And like we get our feelings out so that we start to then feel better. And then the second thing is I show them this image of like the brain, right? I do show them what the brain looks like, but I tell them this is when you are really, really feeling fear. If you're scared, if you're feeling like sad or angry, it's okay. We want to get you to here where you can actually make a decision. And it's a lot of me modeling, oh, it looks like you're here, friend. It looks like, and then I'll point to the brain, like, it looks like you're, and it's a lot of what you said of like coaching them through that feeling. And at the beginning, when I first learned this strategy, I would say maybe like 5 years ago, it felt really strange to me because I'm like, I don't want to tell a kid how they're feeling. But it's actually using the cues that the child is giving you to tell them how they're feeling. So I usually start off with, your face looks like this, and I model their face, and your eyes are like this, and your mouth is like this. It looks like you're feeling a little sad. And then the kid, if they're feeling sad, they'll say, yeah. Or if they're not, they're like, no, I'm angry, or no, my tummy hurts. And you say, oh. And then you like go to their tummy, you're like, oh, it looks like your tummy's like this. And so if you take the cues from the child to kind of like help them sort through like, yeah, my tummy is hurting, and yeah, my face is like this, that usually means that I am sad or angry, frustrated, upset. So those are the strategies that I take time to do in the classroom. And I know it's like, teachers, we want to get through our subjects. We want to get through the day, and we have timed, specific times that we have to do, like for social studies or like math and stuff. But taking that time, especially at the beginning, is really important, because then you establish in your classroom that like, hey, what you are feeling and thinking is important to me. Because if you can't take care of this, you can't learn. Like, you can't really take in the things that I want to teach you.
I appreciate that, because what's happening is then we're validating their feelings, kind of like a good friend. They validate your feelings, you're acknowledging it. And a child, no matter what age, does not have any problem correcting you and saying, no, I'm not angry, I'm sad, or no, I'm not sad, I'm this, and you're helping them build their vocabulary, right? And then I also appreciate that you're saying you're taking the time in the beginning of the year, because these children are going to grow up to be adults. And it's really hard. I think the United States has a huge awareness recently in the past few years of mental health and the need to really support our mental health. And we first have to acknowledge that it's something that's worth talking about. And that starts in the classroom. You can't just say, you're feeling sad, now start doing your math. You're feeling angry, suck it up, because an adult learns to suck it up, and all of that piles on, and then you're depressed at work. And a kid might suck it up and associate it with, I hate school, I hate this teacher, or the teacher doesn't like me. They'll say that, or they build that up, and then a child lets it out in a physical way through hurting others, through hitting, through not listening. And then we're like, that kid is a bad kid. And it's like, no, it's not a bad kid. There are no bad kids. Like, there's just kids that need different emotions, and emotions are normal and they're okay. I love that.
And very specifically related to early years, like from pre-K until like second, third grade. They have resources for fourth and fifth grade, but I think what they specialize in is like that social emotional health to get students ready so that they can learn. And so there's different stories about that parents and families, caregivers can print out about we're learning at home, and someday I'll see my teacher. Like lots of different like mood meters and breaths and all the things that I use in my classroom is from Conscious Discipline. I got trained by them 3 years ago, and it really has helped me grow in my teaching, but also in terms of resources, it's already made and you don't have to like recreate it, right? Teachers want to recreate stuff. It's just like, just use what's out there. In our Zoom calls were how are my students looked, you know, and I noticed that especially my extroverted students in like week 14, they were like looking like, because they hadn't had that interaction. And so something that I started, I think like within the first month, was having one check-in with a child per week. And I made it optional for families. And I said, hey, it's just, 10 minutes of me talking to your child. A lot of parents wanted it because they wanted me to practice English with their student, because I have a lot of English language learners. But it was also a way for me to connect with that student and just ask them how they were doing. And they really felt, I could tell that changed how they showed up to our bigger classroom Zoom meetings. You can do that academic piece, but also in you connecting with your student, I think it's huge, because I did find that like some students were like telling me their needs, and I was able to help them tell their parent that. Like they're like, I don't want to be on the computer all day. I was like, oh, thank you for telling me. And then I was able to tell their family like, oh, they don't have to be on the computer all day. Like they can get their work done anytime during the day. It doesn't have to be during the school day. And that was just like a miscommunication from me to families. Like some families wanted to keep the school day and I was able to find that out through talking to my students one-on-one.
Right. Kids in first grade are so savvy. They're like 6 years old. They are extremely intelligent. They know how to advocate for themselves, and they just need someone to listen. And typically, because they're 6 in their family, they're not listened to probably like they would be in their teacher's class, right? So I think parents, and this is no blame, everybody's doing their best, their very best. You are enough. This is why I have this up there. What my goal is that we actually listen to our children, and mental health is nothing to be ashamed of. Like all of us are going through it. This is not just a States problem, a South Korea problem, and China problem. This is like a worldwide pandemic, and we're all going through it. And some of us, especially our young children, they just need us. We just need to acknowledge that they are also feeling something. And you go off the energy of the adults, right? So if you're stressed, they feel it. Even though you think you're not talking in front of them or keeping things a secret, they can feel that because they're your seed. They can feel it. So you can ask them, how was your day? How are you feeling? And it's normal to feel that. And things are going to be okay. Or here's how I'm protecting you. I like the idea of parents, whether you're on virtual learning or at home or teachers, and you're not doing SEL yet, please start doing SEL. Even if it means I'm just going to talk to you listen to you about your feelings. What are you feeling? Normalizing it, and then building a plan or a goal to move forward. Thank you for joining us today in our family podcast huddle. And today, all this is, it's just an offering so that you have advice, you have resources, you are hearing directly from teachers who go through years of a master's program, a credentialing program, to be prepared to teach your child. And so for those of you that are teaching at home or the caregiver at home with one student or multiple students, it is hard. And so that's the whole intention of this podcast, is to give you the resources and the information that you need to feel a little bit more successful and just supported. Not to say your schools are not supporting you or anything else, or that you're not already doing a good job, because at the end of the day, you are enough. The fact that you are embarking on this, the fact that you are trying, the fact that you love your child, you are enough, and we appreciate you. What you're doing is hard, and we just love you and thank you and appreciate you. So if you have any questions, please put it in the pod. Carla, thank you for coming today. I know it's super early in Korea right now. It's like here. Thank you for waking up. I really, really, really appreciate you. Much love, and continue being such an amazing teacher for your students.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.